All right, before we start, I'm just going to give you guys a brief disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. Anything that I say or mention is for educational purposes only. I may or may not hold some of the stocks that I mentioned. Please remember to do your own research before trading any stock or options, trading stocks and options require lots of risk. So what we're seeing in the overall markets, we're seeing the markets really struggle in the last couple of days. We had the federal minutes talking about hawkish raising interest rates. We saw a CPI number come in close to 8%. That's the highest inflation numbers that we've seen since 1980s or 1982. So some of the things that we want to keep in mind is that there's a lot of uncertainty. Whenever there's uncertainty, what's going to happen is people are going to feel nervous about going long into positions. You're seeing a lot of people just sell or scalp the market right now. I haven't been really posting a lot of small caps. I think I've lost several people because of that. But I still think that we will see a reversal. I don't see the market just, flopping over. Um, there are a couple of stocks that I am looking at overall. I do like the metaverse sector and the NFTs in the small caps, but there's really nothing that you can buy where you can hold on. And then if the market kind of pulls back the next day, markets are just basically gapping down. So it makes no point in holding. So a lot of traders right now are in short-term kind of mindset. So the reason I tell you this is because you want to go where the money's at. And right now, what I'm seeing, the money's flowing into the OTCs. We know that the OTCs were struggling on quite a lot, and we had a market pull on us on the OTCs. We actually had a couple of controversies as far as tweets. We saw a couple of people get in trouble for tweeting, wrong information or SEC FINRA regulations. So that kind of scared and spooked the market. But overall, if you look at, the S&P, you're basically still trading in a major uptrend. You still have a gap fill, which I've been saying 99.9% of the times they usually fill. You had an engulfing candle on the S&P. That gap fill is at around 438, which it kind of matches with the 200-day moving average. So you could see some continuation coming down, right? You had an engulfing candle, bigger red candle than the days previous. So I wouldn't really go long on small caps right now. That's just me. But overall, the markets are still in an uptrend, right? When I usually look at the markets, I look at the transports, dollar sign TRAN. Okay, you still haven't broken below October lows. So that basically you're still a in an uptrend channel. I usually look at the Dow and the INDU. Same thing. You haven't seen October lows. The moment you see the Dow Industrial break below the October lows, break below the spot October lows, break below the transport October lows, now I'm going to say, oh shit, we may be going bearish. I don't think that's the case. I just think that there's a lot of uncertainty. Um, you saw Bitcoin bounce off that 40,000 level. Still think Bitcoin at 37,000 to 39,000 is that key level of floor. But right now, we want to see where the markets are strongest. We want to see where we can make money. In the last couple of days, weeks, we've seen these metaverse stocks really you know, just explode. You've seen stocks like OWV from 0.017 hit a high as 60 cents. Today we saw EPAS go from a low in December 6th, it put in a low of 0.0079. Never saw it again. We distinguished that floor at that 0.0089 level, and today you saw a massive room close to hitting almost 4 cents. So because we see these runs, we want to follow the money, right? So we're looking at these NFT gamings. We're seeing these metaverse where companies go into metaverse. Today we saw news on Ontario, right? CBD may offer some protection against COVID-19, right? We also saw a Supreme Court block Biden COVID vaccine mandate for businesses, right? So you have to look at things, look at things that are happening in the now. If now you're getting a study that CBD may offer protection against COVID-19, you're seeing that mandates are being blocked, with businesses, and it's allowing healthcare workers to go back to work. Now people are looking for alternatives, right? If you're seeing Metaverse, Endeavor, right? Owners of the UFC activating around Metaverse soon, right? Now the Metaverse is kind of going into mainstream, right? So what we want to make sure is that we're seeing that Metaverse, we're seeing that um, the CV19 continues to run rampant. So we want to see what markets are going to be the strongest right now. If I'm not seeing it in the small caps, does that mean I'm just going to give up on the small caps? No, it just means I'm going to monitor it. When I get a bottom, when I see that stocks are potentially showing me bottoms and we show a confirmation above the 8 and the 21-day moving average, that's going to give me a little bit more confidence. And that's what we saw with the OTCs. So today we have an interview with a company which is HIPH, and this is American Premium Water Corporation, and they're based out of Los Angeles, California. And if I'm reading their business description, it's focused on harnessing the power of nanotechnology to produce premium consumer goods utilizing CBD. All right, so their nanotechnology delivers CBD particles into the bloodstream by penetrating the cellular membranes, increasing bioavailability up to 90%. So this is pretty good, right? So they're using nanotechnology, and they're bringing in a product that could potentially help you with your immune system. It's a betterment for health, right? So anytime that we're fighting against any type of viral infections, or we want to maintain healthy, right? Especially heading into a new year, 2022, a lot more people are more health conscious. And from what you're seeing now, right, we're consumers of products. We're not really drinking and eating healthy things, right? So usually what I say products is anything that's manufactured or genetically modified or packaged, right? So when you're dealing with eating products, right, instead of eating things from the ground or eating natural things, we tend to kind of distort our health, right? So there's got to be a way to kind of look for alternatives, see supplementations, see things that can help us, especially moving into this technological world. Another thing that we're, battling against right now is the supply and demand chain. For people that live in big cities, that's an issue, right? Because if you're living in big cities, most of these things have to be transported, and they have to be, packaged, they have to be moved. There's a lot of things happening with, not having enough foods in these supermarkets. So there's got to be alternatives to kind of like stay healthy. And I think that this company is kind of finding things like that. Another thing that they use is they use something CBD and CBG to fight acne. Acne is one of the things that's really, really affecting, a big majority of teenage boys and girls. You're seeing that we're in a social media kind of frenzy right now, where social media is one of the most important things. And I don't know about you, but there's people that battle with low self-esteem. They get breakouts, they start picking at their face. This is something that people deal with, and they have a product that helps with that. These are things that we take lightly. We don't look at things like this. And another thing that they're kind of tapping into, which kind of drew me, but they posted this news when the OTC wasn't that good, which was back in November. They put out a press release on November 10th, and they signed an agreement with NFT for Play gaming platform, and they have an agreement for a product in an NFT space. So you're hearing a lot NFT play to earn right now. That's one of the biggest things right now in NFTs. And now you're starting to see a lot of companies kind of transition into NFTs, Metaverse. And he actually posted a nice post the other day. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll ask him about it. But he posted something pretty significant. If you're buying a product, imagine if you're getting some type of a reward for it, right? Imagine if you're getting some type of NFT in return that can add value. I think that that's what a lot of companies are going to start doing. So when you see these kinds of things, you're seeing the innovation that these companies are doing. So I think what we're going to start seeing is we're going to start seeing people that are going to be earning money playing games. We're going to start seeing people earning money when they buy products. So there was a post on here by Rob Pedroso, which Ryan, the CEO of HIPH, posted, and Rob Pedroso posted, bought my first Solana NFT from a vending machine with Apple Pay. All right, and it shows you actually buy the product, and it's a pretty cool product, and you're getting an NFT with it. And Ryan wrote this. He attached it and he wrote a comment. He goes, "This is an example of how NFTs can play a role in traditional brick and mortar retail. One could create a Wonka golden ticket frenzy by placing a certain number of QR codes in packaging and amplifying their brand engagement." So he obviously knows how the technology can be used. And you're seeing this with a lot of companies right now where they're rewarding you with NFTs. I think the last major movie, Spider-Man, AMC was giving out for the first people that were buying their tickets online first. They were rewarding them with an NFT that eventually that can go up in value. So these are things that we want to see these CEOs kind of jump before everybody else. And I think that that's what adds value. On December 20th, they actually also announced that they retained an auditor on Turner and Stone to conduct a 2-year audit. And if you notice, in order to stay OTC compliant, you have to make sure that you have all these filings up to date. So they're obviously doing things to keep, in the forefront. When I look at the chart right now, we put in a floor, and these are levels that you guys should write down. The HIPH put in a floor about 18. That was the lowest that it went. And then it put in a master support at 0.0021. It's never retested that level. Okay, right now it's trading above the 24, okay, 0.0024, which is its 21-day moving average, and its 8-day moving average at 27. All right, the 200-day moving average, which that's where it was trading for quite some time, is at 0.005. When I look at the weekly chart and I look at it longer term, I'm seeing an 8 into 21 MA cross, which is textbook for me when I look at stocks. You actually closed above the 8 and the 21-day moving average on the weekly chart. And if we get 2-week confirmations above it, you have the 200-day moving average at 0.0149. The last major run this thing had was back, okay, in 2021, and it was in February, and you had the biggest run to about 0.037. I'm going to ask him what he did differently last year around that time frame. Maybe we could see what drew the stock or what drove the stock higher. But overall, we're starting to see a nice reversal here. What I would do here is I would use that 0.0024 as my floor now, and I would look to kind of position in and look for that confirmation. Once you get that confirmation above that 8 and 21-day moving average on the weekly chart, meaning 2 weeks above that 8 and that 21-day moving average would be like an average of about 26 2 weeks in a row. That's where I would feel very, very comfortable, because right now the 8-day moving average is at 24 on the weekly, and the 21-day moving average is at 29. So if I add those two and divide that by 2, it's going to give me somewhere around 26, 27. Okay, so I'm going to see if Ryan's on. Yep, he is on right now. All right, Ryan, I got you on. Just unmute your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. How do you hear me?
I hear you great.
Awesome, Ryan. First off, I just want to thank you for joining us on this Twitter space. We usually do this to, bring somebody on to represent their company and just show a little transparency. It's always good for awareness. That's one of the most important things I feel in the OTCs. Kind of stopped doing it, but I want to kind of restart doing it. I think that the OTC is really strong. I don't know if you've been noticing, but it's been getting a lot of volume overall. The markets on the bigger boards, as far as the big boards, tech, also small caps, are really taking a hit right now. And I think a lot of money is flowing into the OTCs. Have you been noticing, or do you follow the markets?
Of course I do, and I definitely concur with that assessment. I think ever since especially since the last 2 months of 2021, there definitely was a precipitous decline in volume. I mean, if we, especially in the cannabis sector, in our CBD sector, and especially on the OTC, and if you look at our peers and our competitors, they certainly, I follow them and just kind of see what they're doing, and a lot of them were testing 52-week lows. The volume was off substantially from earlier in the year. I think a lot of money was, a lot of capital was going into some crypto and some other stuff. It's also end of the year, and I think now that new year, you've seen sort of a little bit of a retreat in crypto. I think some of the money, some of the capital, some of the liquidity is flowing back into the OTC, and certainly not, you're seeing it across the board with other stocks have seen some appreciation over the past few weeks. Even at if it started at the beginning of last year of the last week of 2021. So I definitely agree with that.
Right. So first off, first thing I want you to do is just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the company, and your role in the company.
Sure. So, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate this. This is actually my first Spaces interview. I've been on some Spaces before as a listener, so I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to reach out to shareholders, potential shareholders, interested parties. So, if you don't know me, my name is Ryan Fishoff. I'm the CEO of American Premium Water. Our ticker symbol is OTC, is HIPH on the trade on the OTC markets. I've been CEO for a little over 4 years. In my tenure, certainly have had our ups and downs, but I definitely think we're well positioned for growth this year. Our company focuses on nano infused beverages and other products. We've been working, a couple different iterations of nano infused CBD, and we're also working on nano infused energy beverages. And I really believe in the I really believe in nanotechnology and how it can distinguish itself from other technologies, and how it can increase a user's experience with a product. And really, it stems about bioavailability, increasing bioavailability, which is the efficacy of the compounds in the beverage, whether it be CBD, CBG, CBN, delta 8, psychedelics, or other compounds such as vitamin B12, caffeine. Uh, a lot of the problems where people take CBD, and a lot of times a lot of people say it doesn't work, is because it doesn't get into your bloodstream. Your body's made up of 70% of water, so CBD is oil. So oil and water, as you know, don't mix. So I think where CBD fails in the sense that it just doesn't penetrate into the bloodstream or into the body effectively. And that's what we've been focusing on, is working on products that have great technology, the nanotechnology that allows the CBD to permeate into the bloodstream and become effective. So that's what we've been working on. It's been, somewhat challenging bringing a product to market. Just as having, a product that's effective, we also want a product that tastes good, and that's been sort of the latest hang up, making sure that the products that we're developing are liked by consumers, so that there'll be repeat purchases. So that's what we've been working on. We're getting very close to launching some of these nano beverages, and we're very excited about that. and we've certainly set up a good distribution network in the Northeast across convenience stores, smoke shops. I live in New York City. I personally go into some of these stores myself and speak to the accounts, so I take pride in that. So I think we're on the precipice of good growth this year.
Has the East Coast been a little bit more restrictive with CBD? I know that they own it. I mean, they not own it, but they've been a little bit more hesitant on allowing things with like THC. Is your product have THC, or some of the products that you have a percentage of THC in it?
No, none of our products have THC. None of the CBD products have THC. I would say that the hesitancy has been just lack of education. I think up
Right,
until last year, I think the legalization in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut has really opened people's eyes to CBD here in the East Coast or in the Northeast. It's just different. It just wasn't really readily available. But over the past year, 12 to 18 months, things have exploded. I mean, if you go in, if you're in New York City, anywhere in Manhattan or Brooklyn, around every corner is a smoke shop that's selling
right,
CBD, Delta, everything. So it's a real big opportunity. And there certainly was some hesitancy, and that was also when the Farm Bill was passed in the end of 2018. We, including ourselves and myself and our company, we were excited that we really thought that was a turning point for CBD, but it just created more questions, and a lot of the big box retailers put the brakes on adapting it. So it was really the convenience stores who were more aggressive that really became the smaller grocers that became aggressive and or open to selling CBD, and especially along the first sort of chip to fall was more topicals
right.
because there wasn't an ingestible. So water, because there was some clarity whether CBD water or CBD ingestibles were legal according to the FDA. That sort of inhibited the market. And now that a lot of the states are coming up, just like New York, California did, are coming out with their own legislation to mandate and regulate ingestibles or ingestible products like CBD beverages. More stores are open to selling it. They're not afraid, even though technically at the federal level, the FDA has still not definitively ruled if CBD is a supplement. Is it legal in foods? Because technically the answer is no. They're just not enforcing it.
Right.
So you're seeing hesitancy from the big box like the Krogers, Targets, Whole Foods to sell CBD infused products. But as soon as there's clarity from the FDA, and that's probably the $65,000 question, or the 800-pound gorilla in the room, is whenever they act. And right now with the gridlock in Washington, it's anyone's best guess as to when that's going to happen, because it's just not a priority level. I would say the Safe Banking Act and cannabis legalization are probably higher priorities for Congress. So having that concentration of stores allows us to really just focus on those channels. We'll hit some independent grocers, some of the smaller chain grocery stores, but really we're really recalibrating and focusing on distribution in smoke shops, convenience stores, bodegas, and the ancillary stores within the New York City area. And anyone from outside the New York City area, in the greater metropolitan area, the tri-state area, which is roughly, I think the population is roughly like 30 million people in a 60-mile radius from Midtown Manhattan. There's something about 30,000 of these types of stores. So it's a huge market potential just here alone. And we're just starting out here. And we also have a distributor in South Florida that we're working with, and we also have some distributors on the West Coast. So we definitely don't lack distribution options. It's just making sure we have a really good product and a really good marketing and rollout plan, so we can be successful and lay a good foundation.
Right. So one of the things that came out, there was a study done yesterday. It actually came out, and it was
Mhm.
out of Ontario University. It says a study shows that CBD may offer some protection against COVID-19. Did you see that article? And did you
Yeah,
see today what happened
I
as
did.
far as the Supreme Court blocking that mandate?
No, I did see that. I mean, certainly, it's one study, and as we've all seen, I mean, even the best scientists in the world don't even know what COVID strain it was, or what how COVID reacts.
Right.
So, it's definitely promising, but I wouldn't it wouldn't change our business direction in the sense that I think we've all known this, and I think since COVID came out, there have been studies, or anecdotally, there were some suggestions that THC, cannabinoids, CBD could help treat it or help repel the effects of COVID-19, especially with the receptors in the lungs. But again, more as I learned over the past, and I wrote about this last year in my letter to shareholders. I learned a lot about the FDA procedures in terms of getting clinical trials and
Right.
drugs approved. It's very, very early before we could even say or market anything. So it's
Right.
great. I think it brings great exposure to the industry, but I just want to continue to focus on building and developing great beverages, for the consumers, and that's really our plan, for 2022. So we're gonna focus on that.
So, what are some of the benefits with your products? I know that on your description, it talked about people that suffer through with acne. Um, are you more geared towards like athletes? Does your products work well with recovery? Um, like,
So
what's the focus on? Because I know,
sure,
I mean, I really don't know too much about
sure.
CBD. I know people told me that you can take it; it tends to relax you. It
Hmm.
tends to kind of like help your joints.
Yes,
Is there anything that you're specifically like this really helps me, or I use it personally for this?
sure. So I do use it. I use the pain cream as a topical
Right.
um for my knee. Actually, my knee's been acting up. I just started playing basketball again,
Yeah.
trying to get back in shape. It's been like 2 years. COVID made it difficult. So,
Right.
2 years older. So CBD helps. Really what we're focusing, there's a reason why we're also focusing on energy drinks as well. It's not just to, have another product. It's a complementary product to the CBD, because
Right.
really we want to offer a solution, a 360-degree solution for athletes, so that they have a pre-workout or during workout beverage. So pre-workout would be our energy beverage, and depending upon what they're doing, whether they want to drink the energy or the CBD beverage during their workout, and the type of beverage we have, and then after we have a relaxation shot, which is the antithesis of an energy shot. And I always laugh when I see people put CBD energy shots, because it's completely contradictory. So we
Right.
are developing a relaxation shot, which is essentially a 5-hour relaxation, which is a very, very high concentrated dose of CBD in a 2-ounce shot bottle. We think this will be very successful, especially at on retail, because it just really doesn't have too much market penetration of this type of beverage. So we are focusing, and I'm happy you brought up about health and wellness, because that is also one of our objectives. Is, in addition to convenience stores, bodegas, and smaller grocery stores, gyms. Gyms, I think, especially boutique fitness gyms and smaller chains are low hanging fruit. And I think we're working on different methods to go about getting distribution in a high number of gyms, boutique fitness studios, places that we look at as low hanging fruit that would buy our product and sell to their clients. And there's a lot of overlap. So it's definitely one of our initiatives for 2022, and I hope to make some announcements soon about some of the stuff that we're doing, because I actually had a long meeting yesterday about how we're going to go to market with some initiatives to reach that demographic. Now, on the other, when you were talking about the acne cream, so that's a different product. That's through Vinex.
Mm.
That was through our partnership with Canyon Create back
Okay.
in 2018. We hope to have Vinex come to market this year. So Vinex is a non CBD product that tackles that varicose veins.
Hmm.
And it's a topical that recesses varicose veins within 30 seconds of application. Now, Canyon Create is also working on a formula that uses CBG to neutralize acne, and that's still going through the testing phases right now. Hopefully, we have more update on that, and I think that also presents a really big opportunity. And I think, like you mentioned, especially with TikTok. A lot of people have been talking about acne. Acne is a problem for people, and they've been very vocal about it. I think that's definitely something that I have noticed amongst especially Generation Z and the Zennials. They've been much more outcoming, upfront with their acne problems. So I
Right.
think something that I think could be a really good solution for them. But again, we're still in development on it, and I hope to as the year later this year have more details as to when that's going to go to market.
All right, so December 2nd, you guys put out a press release, which I find it very, very interesting. It's a New York City of Cali Bear now available for sale on delivery services. We know what's happening with shutdowns. We know a lot of people sometimes they don't want to go to stores,
Hmm.
and I noticed that you guys are now on Seamless and Grubhub.
Hmm.
What exactly does that mean? I mean, it seems that you guys are are going towards more local. It says that you have East Village Farms, a couple of groceries. So now, if I wanted to order your product, I can go there on Seamless and order your product for delivery.
Yes, so you would have to be within East Village Farms delivery zone within New York City. So that's essentially most of Manhattan and Western Brooklyn. So like Williamsburg, Brooklyn Heights, and maybe Greenpoint. I'm not sure. I don't want
Right.
to get too local for people who are not from the New York City area. But so essentially, Seamless predated Grubhub. Seamless was essentially the delivery service in New York. I've been using it since I've lived in Manhattan post college since 2006. So essentially, it's gotten much bigger now across the country, but it was exclusive to New York City, and then Grubhub bought Seamless. But it's a delivery service that they deliver through different vendors. So this partnership was with a delivery service, a bodega, a very large, I'd say not really a bodega, a market in the East Village, and they were selling our products. So it's something that we want to replicate, moving forward. And again, it just opened up the doors to different customers. Not only is it on Seamless, but they also service DoorDash, which I know is another popular app, not really in New York City, but across the country. So again, it's working with the partners, working with the stores for delivery. Obviously we would like to deliver to customers directly, but right now as we look to get our products out to customers, I'm agnostic on how we get there. I think right now we really want to focus on growth, getting our product in the hands of as many customers as possible. We can worry about margins and viability later on, but right now, I think our number one goal is to get our product into as many customers' hands as possible.
Right. And for you guys that aren't aware, the area that they're actually located at is a very high end area here in New York. It's on Second Avenue, and most of the areas that he mentioned, they're they're I mean, it's a very, very expensive um part neighborhoods in New York City. You're talking about Williamsburg, East Village. A lot of that area there is really prime real estate. So just want you guys to kind of
Yeah, I
understand
mean,
that.
it's essentially essentially all of Manhattan is prime real estate for those who are not familiar with New York City. So Manhattan, every neighborhood in Manhattan is wealthy or it certainly has wealthy areas, and Williamsburg is certainly the wealthiest part of Brooklyn, as well as Brooklyn Heights. And then
Right.
Greenpoint is also a fast emerging area of Brooklyn too. So it's uh, it's quite amazing actually what's happening in Brooklyn. Even from 5 years ago compared to even
Mhm.
15. So
So my next question right now, you see everything that's happening as far as the NFT,
hmm
now gaming, now metaverse, everything's taking that, the market by storm. You're seeing people invest in, um, I guess you could say fake land on the metaverse on Sandbox. You're seeing a quarter of a million.
it's not fake. It's not fake. It's actual.
Well,
It's virtual land.
virtual land. Okay, we'll call it virtual land. I don't want to offend anybody, but people are buying virtual yachts. I mean,
Hmm.
this supposedly can be the future. Now you're hearing, companies like the UFC talking about, which I feel that there is a a market for it, because if people are not going to these venues no more and they throw on a headset, you're basically there, and you're seeing what people live will be there. So it's very, very innovative. I know you posted a tweet on NFTs, and you actually commented on a vending machine there. So you have the mindset for it. What do you think of that NFT metaverse gaming space? And can you tell us if you guys are looking in those avenues to kind of maybe reward the people that purchase, via the NFTs? I know that you guys put out a press release for NFT. I think it's called NFT for Play. So, can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on that sector, and then also that project that you guys have?
Sure. I mean, certainly you have to be living in a closet not to acknowledge the growing Web3 NFT metaverse. I think there's a lot of potential in it. I think certainly it's those things that has to suss itself out and develop. I mean, certainly what it may not be what it is years, but certainly that's where the world, where the web, and that's where things are gravitating towards. And I think in the sense, I think don't look at it as a virtual reality. Just look at it as a different way of the web and the World Wide Web. 25 years ago, people thought it was crazy to spend $1 million on a domain name called pets.com. But
Right.
now we've flushed that out. So, essentially what it is it's just a different way of browsing the web. So this virtual real estate is essentially just a web, for layman's terms, or a different way to look at it is just looking at your own web space in this virtual
Right.
reality. Something like beverages that we are in, you can't virtually consume beverages. So it's something that you physically have to touch, whether if you come through a delivery service like Seamless or DoorDash, or you physically go to the store and buy it, or you order it directly from the store. So it's just another way of how we're going to interact and how the consumer is going to purchase products. And I think we certainly want to be at the forefront of it. I think it's a great brand building opportunity, as I alluded to today in my tweet.
Right.
Companies that can embrace it and engage with their customers and offer them value beyond their actual product will benefit from this. And certainly I've been well aware of that, and we're always looking at ways to get ahead of the curve. And I think the way I ultimately view Web3, the metaverse, NFTs it's another distribution channel for us to sell products. So we made an agreement in the middle of November with NFT for Play. They're actually, I think they have a great platform they're building. They're out of London. They're doing a lot of different things. And they're really focusing on sports betting, sports, and gaming. So I think just opening our products to different customers is important. So for them, something that potentially we were talking to a lot of also delivery services in New York City. So beyond Seamless, there's delivery services like Getter, BuyYK, GoPuff. Now some of them don't like to sell CBD products, but there's also some international ones like Gorillas. So one of the concepts that we had and we talked about with one of them, I can't name who they were, but we can set up a sponsorship package for them to sponsor the virtual teams in the NFT for Play realm. So the NFT for Play is doing virtual soccer games, and they're creating teams with they're creating teams based on your NFT cards that you have, and you create your own jerseys. So in other words, we would want to come up with a sponsorship package where we would be one of the sponsors of the jerseys on these virtual teams with one of these delivery services who actually has exposure in the international markets in Europe. And we would do a deal that any fans or anyone who has these NFTs would get a certain extra product or a free delivery of our product or a free beverage. Just these are different ideas or concepts that we're working on. So as they build out their platform, these are things that we're looking to do. And that's just one example of something that we're working.
Right.
There's 100 different ways to skin the cat, but I think just being in the game and figuring out once you're there, you're in front of these, you have captive audience. How do you monetize that audience? I think that's really where we can be successful and differentiate ourselves from our competitors.
Right. It's a way of promoting, it's a way of rewarding, and then it's people trying the products. And you guys are going to be at the forefront because you're doing it first. I mean, for the most part, I haven't really seen any other companies do it. I know I there was a stock EPAS, which they have like a subsidiary, or they have like connections to a Green Heart CBD. I don't know if you notice or know them, but they're actually looking into getting into AR VR with their CBD product, and they're rewarding people for and sponsoring UFC fighters. So there's so much that can be done in that space. So that's what, I like what you guys are doing. You guys are using the technology to your advantage. Now, you see what's going on with the psychedelics. You're
Mm-hmm.
seeing now
Yep,
that a lot of
I
a lot
do.
of these psychedelics are being
It's
used
something
for
that we're definitely monitoring, and it's
right.
something that we're interested in. We've actually had some discussions with some companies about psychedelics. I think the interesting thing about psychedelics over the past year has been in terms of the description of the space and what's considered a psychedelic, because you have seen an uptick in a lot of beverage companies getting into quote unquote mood altering products. And did I lose you guys?
No, I'm here.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, sorry. I had a phone call come in. I thought it knocked
Yeah,
me off.
I
Yeah.
think we kind of got off a little bit, but I heard
No,
your
no.
phone was
So
kind
no,
of
no,
ringing.
it's okay. So anyway, where I was, there's been an uptick in the past year in quote unquote the psychedelic space, and how companies are approaching psychedelic beverages and what they do, or what's defined as a psychedelic. And you have a lot of companies like Recess and other brands doing mood altering beverages that really are just more very light and really not psychedelic at nature, and where they're actually taking real psilocybins that have real psychedelic properties and that have been legalized in a few jurisdictions. Now you're going to see this year more jurisdictions like Florida, um, possibly New York City, legalize, among others, legalize psilocybins. So it's definitely something we're interested in. We're also experimenting with some of these, using our nanotechnology or using nanotechnology to do the non-psychoactive compounds to see if there's better efficacy in them with higher bioavailability. So it's definitely something on our radar, and we actually have a brand name already allocated for that. So it's just a question of how we go with our primary goal is to get our nano CBD and nano energy products out to market. And then from there, we'll evaluate how we want to potentially roll that out or look at it. But it's certainly on our radar, and it's very, very interesting.
That's awesome. By the way, guys, and I don't mean like sometimes it's not even that you need the psychedelics, the psilocybin, but there are also great mushrooms that are really good alternatives as far as supplementation. I know that you look at things like turkey tail; it's good for focus, your immune system. So it's if they're looking to get into it, there's not. I mean, the market is just starting, right? For mushrooms, right? It's not really led by a certain company, is it? Is there like a main company that people go out to start buying, mushroom kind of immune
Well, I
support
mean,
or focus kind of
no,
supplementation?
no. There's a number of companies out in the space
Hmm.
that focus it's probably two different groups of companies. There's one silo that's medical.
Right.
They're specifically medical, and they only deal in the medical realm. So, and again, they only deal with municipalities that it has been legalized in the sense, and then you deal with more natural, or like you said, those types of non psychoactive ones. And it's just a question of finding the right partner who we can work with, and have the lab work with nanoparticles and break down the compounds into something that's usable and workable. So it's very exciting, and it's just I actually had a chance when I was at MJ Biz. I met a great company there called Psychedelic Water. They're actually out of Toronto. Everything is legal, so they have a great branding, great packaging. They use a lot of compounds that are mood altering, but nothing that's illegal, and
Right.
everything that's legal everywhere in the United States and Canada. So again, it really runs the gamut as to what's considered psychedelic and what the definition is. And it's just a question of finding out a product that works, that's effective, and tastes good. So that's really what we would be focusing on in that realm, figuring out what and leveraging distribution, because I know it's popular in some of the accounts that I've been speaking to. It's something they've asked me about, and I think it would be very, very popular. So we already have that distribution footprint. It would just be accretive to just piggyback off to our existing footprint or potential footprint. So it's something that we're definitely going to explore. I think realistically something that would happen in the second
Right.
half of 2020.
One of the things, I don't know if the listeners here, I think that's really kind of innovative. If they could come out like a water, because I do it with my tea. I don't know if I'll get in trouble, but I do the microdose, but I do it in my tea. But if they could come up with like a microdose of psilocybin in a supplement in a water, that would be amazing, because then you don't have to kind of make the tea, weigh, the milligrams of how much you're gonna put in there, and it just really calms you, especially for traders. I'll tell you. I mean, it doesn't make me feel. It's not for a high. It just puts you in such a calm state.
I'm happy you brought that up, microdosing, because this is where I see potential liabilities in the sense
Hmm.
that because microdosing is such a personal matter in the sense
Right.
that with a microdose for you, that might necessarily be a microdose for me, just based on
Right. Right.
body type. There's so many different variables. There's a huge liability concern about what's
Oh, okay.
considered micro. So, and this is something we've had these discussions. It's come up internally. So this is not something we haven't, not contemplated. So
Hmm.
that's one of the hesitations to really get into microdosing, because we
Yeah.
can do it. It can be done. It's not a
Right.
question that we need to really do a lot of R&D. It's more questions of liabilities. That's not to say we're not going to do it or come up to some healthy consensus or some sort of way to either not a workaround, but something that
Right.
would work, that would fit, our lawyers to sign off on, and
Right.
potentially an insurance company. But again, it's just something that we have to be cognizant of, and it goes into the whole overall R&D of beverages for this type of category.
Well, I'm glad you guys are thinking about it, and also, you're smart enough to understand like liabilities, and you seem like you're really in tune with how running the business. Now, I noticed that 2020, 2021, you guys did the audit. I think that was the latest news that you guys put out. Some of the things that are happening with the OTCs as far as maintaining compliance with OTC. How have you guys approached it? I know that you guys really never faltered or really fell back. I think the last question that I have for you, February 28, 2021, your stock price was at 3.7. You guys were obviously doing something right during that time. I know sometimes you can't control the price of your stock, but you guys were putting out consistent news. How do you guys see 2022 rolling out? I know you guys, again, audits are being done. Are you guys like really hitting 2022 hard in the sense of maintaining compliance with your filings, raising maybe authorized shares, any reverse splits? That's what these shareholders want to know, because that's how they kind of stick around. Anything that you guys want to add, and tell us a little bit of why you guys are doing these audits? Um, what are we seeing as far as 2022, and what's your feeling on how OTC markets, FINRA, SEC, these regulations on the OTC markets have been?
Well, we're doing the audit for the goal to be uplisted. I mean, that's really the
Mhm.
goal. Right now, we're alternative reporting. We are pink alternative
Okay.
reporting. We it's been a goal to be fully reporting, SEC reporting, because it just allows for better capital, better opportunities, better growth down the road. And that's something that has evaded us. Has been something that's been a goal of mine for a while. We tried back. We started in 2019, but we ran out of money to complete the audit. It was just kind of wasn't meant to be. Now we've taken care of that with our strategic partners. So we're really focused on getting the audit and getting everything done so that we can become fully reporting and then take the next step to uplist, which would first be the bulletin board, OTC, QB, and then eventually the NASDAQ, which has been a long-term goal of mine for a very long time. And that's really the purpose of the audit, and that's why we're doing that. I mean, we still do our regular filings with OTC. We will be doing that until the audit's done. So I don't think there's anything to worry about there. It's something that we're on top of. I know the OTC has been very strict with the new regulations starting in September, so we don't want to run afoul of it. And we've been fully compliant since those regulations. We haven't missed a filing. We haven't had a yield sign or a stop sign. So I've been proud of that. So we look to continue to do that. But that's really the goal. Is shareholders will benefit to have a fully reporting company. Just greater transparency. It's I think where the market's going. I think the SEC, FINRA, they're really working hard to make it so that companies become fully reporting and compliant, making it very difficult for non-reporting companies to raise capital and grow properly.
Right. So for guys that are listening right now, their authorized shares right now is at 2.5 billion, and they've transfer agent verified, so it's up to date. They were updated pretty recently. Outstanding shares just 1.8 billion. Usually you don't see companies trading at these levels with this kind of share structure. I always like looking at stocks that are going to give me low supply, higher demand. So anything above 5 billion, I refrain. So can you guys say right now, I know you guys want to get uplisted OTCQB. That means that you have to be at least 0.01 cents. I think you guys were that like around I'm looking at the date here. It says here back in February, you guys were at 3.7 cents. Can we assure that we're not going to get a raise in authorized shares and no reverse split in order to do that? I think you guys are on the path. I mean, right now you're seeing that your stock is really in a nice, starting to break that downtrend in a nice uptrend. Can you assure shareholders right now that you guys won't reverse split and raise authorized shares, if you can say that?
Well, I mean, I can't predict the future, but what I can say is that I don't anticipate raising the authorized shares anytime in the near future, barring something unforeseen. In terms of we have a long-term capital plan in place that is non-dilutive for shareholders. So I do not see a need to have to raise the authorized shares for a while. So that's something I'm quite confident in. I mean, I think for the next year, I mean, we are doing our audit. We are getting uplisted. We're trying to uplist. So I think those are going to be really our focus as we grow the business. So with that long-term capital plan in place, I think that's really our focus right now. I mean, it's funny. People have been asking me about the reverse split since 2019. And I've never definitively answered it because I just can't predict the future. I don't want to box myself in a corner and say no, but I've been getting those questions since September of 2019, and we haven't done one since. So, again, at this time, we have no plans for it. So that's the best thing I can answer is that there's no immediate plans for a reverse split. It takes some time. So, you can just use the track record. You can see what we've done over the past few years. There's been some external pressure to do it over in 2019 and 2020, and I repelled that. Right. So take it as you will. Take it as you will. I've never done a reverse split as CEO, so over 4 years.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. In fact, if you look at the security notes on OTC markets, it's showing here 2017. I don't really see 2019.
There was never no. We haven't done a split. So there was a split. A reverse split was the last time a reverse split was done was back in July 2017, right before I became CEO. So during my tenure, we have never done a reverse split. I've never done a reverse split. So
you guys get that. So shareholders right now, since his tenure, it's showing here 2017. So they've been, holding the authorized shares that they have here, and they also haven't reverse split since. So that's always good to know. Now, I'm a gym owner, right? I have two gyms, and I know what it is to kind of like get a distributor. Right now, I use somebody called Europa Sports, right? And I've tried some of these energy drinks, and I'll tell you, maybe it's just me, but I get headaches from them.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're just too strong, or they're too fizzy for me. Um, like, let's say I want to order your products for my gym. Like, what do I got to go through? Do I got to go through a website? Is there a website that is for somebody to kind of order, or do you guys use a special kind of like a website that does the ordering? Where do I have to go through to order your product?
So when we do launch the beverage, there'll be a couple ways for you to buy the product. It'll be from us directly at
Okay.
our website, which we haven't launched yet for the new product, and then you'll also be able to buy it at your gym if
Okay.
if if your gym happens to be one of the ones that we sell to, and if they don't,
Okay.
I would hope you would talk to your gym about saying, "Oh, this is really good product. I would hope you carry it." So
No, I
when that
mean,
happens,
I'm a yeah,
we'll let
I'm
you
a
know.
owner of a gym. Like,
There
I
you are.
actually own two gyms, like two like I own what you were talking about, a boutique gym. And what I did was I automated it where, like, people want to buy something, they just go on the vending machine, and they just they pay the price. And so the reason I
No,
was asking you this is
that's
because
yeah. So you're exactly the type of low hanging fruit that we're targeting because a
right,
lot of distributors don't really. I mean, so because you own gyms, you really don't. You have equipment distributors, but you really don't have beverage distributors. It's a
right,
lot
there's
of.
not many. Yeah,
There's not many
there's
who
not
go to
many.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're looking to consolidate that, and that's one of the things that we're working on this year. That I hope to make some announcements over the next month or two about how we can really expose our products and capture that market that I think is really underserved.
Right. So what about as far as like, have you guys come with the shots that you guys do? Are you guys putting like caffeine in it, or because there's some people that just can't take these energy drinks, and it just gives them, or you
Right.
guys haven't tested it out,
So
because
we are
sometimes they give
testing it
you
out.
crazy headaches. You know what I
No, I
mean?
know and that's a big opportunity we see in the market in the
Hmm.
sense that using nanotechnology to really minimize the amount of because
Side
if you go
effects.
to the side effects and minimize because it's all about efficacy. The reason why a lot of the energy drinks that you will find at a GNC or even at a bodega, they have 200, 500 milligrams of caffeine in them, and that's just
Right.
not
Right.
sustainable. It's not healthy.
Right.
So, well, we're working on the formulation. The first nano energy drink that would come to market. It's going to have minimal amounts of caffeine, but it will have the same effect, and that's really the power of nanotechnology, where 25 milligrams or 20 milligrams will have the same efficacy as a beverage that has 200 milligrams or 500 milligrams. And that's really what we're going for. And the other compounds to provide the same amount of energy without the nasty side effects. And it's something
Right.
that's all natural. That's what we're really working on. And I think that's going to be a very big differentiator for us.
All right. Awesome. So first off, I just want to thank you. Hopefully, we can have you back on. I know it's been a little bit over an hour, but from the recap that I'm getting, I'm seeing that he's using the innovation of the NFT to kind of promote and reward the people that buy his product. He's actually using a nanotechnology, which is proprietary. It gets into your bloodstream a lot quicker, targeting areas in New York, the East Coast, which now CBD is prominent. You're seeing a lot of these bodegas, and I live in New York, so I've seen it. There's a lot of vape shops, smoke shops, especially in the city, where you can find these products. I think that it's innovative. I like the fact that the stock is at a clear level. Usually, you don't want to buy stocks that are really, kind of bloated, and they're really high. I think this is a perfect price. He said and talked about uplisting. In order to be OTCQB, it has to have a 0.01. So do the math. He hasn't done a reverse split since its tenure. So he obviously, is confident that that price per share will be at point zero 0.01. I enjoyed this conversation. It was very, very, I guess you could say I learned a lot from CBD because I'm not too, keen on the product. It's something that I wouldn't mind taking. I know a lot of people sometimes they correlate it with taking some type of drug because they kind of look at it as marijuana, but it's really not. It's actually something that is much different, and I think that this is something that I definitely want to kind of touch base with you later on. Is there anything else that you want to say before we end this Twitter Spaces interview?
No, I mean, I really appreciate. I had a good time. This was a great interview. I want to do. I'll definitely come back on. I might, host my own one because this is really good. It's really nice to just be able to have like a nice one-on-one conversation, and get, really go into a little more in depth than a press release or a couple tweets can. So this is a great medium. I really enjoyed my time here, and thanks for having me on.
Awesome. One more thing. I just wanted to say, like, I've noticed that a lot of companies are using their social media as a way to kind of interact with their shareholders. I think that it's one of the most important things right now,
Hello.
too. If you, uh, yeah, somebody's calling you, I think. Um, but if you want, you can follow him on American Premium. You can follow him on American Premium on Twitter, and then his also. If you want to give us out your social media, so we could give you a follow, so we can keep up to date. But I was just saying that it's one of the best ways to kind of connect with your shareholders. Social media has helped a lot. I noticed that a lot of people that are really longing these stocks are really following their social medias, and they have a connection with, their Twitter accounts, whether it's a YouTube channel, or Facebook. Is there anything that you want to tell us as far as where they can follow you?
No, follow me on Twitter. That's the best place to follow me. I post regularly on Twitter. The company posts regularly on Twitter. That's probably the best way to get up to date information on what we're doing, and official announcements from the company.
Awesome, man. There you go. So I just want to thank everybody that joined us today. We will be doing another company, I think, in the next week or two. I will keep you guys posted, but this was a great interview, and I look to have Ryan back on, and I'm excited for HIPH. I think we're gonna put this on a YouTube. And we're gonna edit it a little bit, put some pictures. If you want to send us anything, like as far as pictures of the products or anything that you have, just send it to me, or reach me out to me on DM Twitter, and then we'll kind of adjust it for YouTube. And then if you want to retweet it, it kind of brings more eyes and awareness to the company. All right.
Great.
Thanks, Ryan.
No, thank you.
All right. Take care, bro.
You
All
too.
right.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. All right, and that's it for today. Definitely we'll have a Twitter Spaces on Sunday. So watch out for Twitter Spaces on Sunday, probably like around 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I just want to thank everybody for just the loyal support. All right. Take care, everyone.